Hey guys, and welcome. My name is NG Paradox, and we're here in Football Manager 2018. We finally got it. I'm excited. I can't wait to rip into this new version of the game. It's going to be fun. Just try the new things, see what works and what doesn't work. And to do that, I'm going to be playing as Swansea City for the beta. If you guys enjoy it though, and you enjoy this series, and it goes well of course, we will continue this after the beta as well. The reason I'm playing as Swansea is because I'm a Swansea City fan. I've supported them since about 2008 when they got into the Championship. Really enjoyed being a fan of theirs since then. And of course that means that I know the club quite well. I know the players, I know the club, I know the finances, what works and what doesn't work. You know, I have a very good idea of the club itself, and I think that's really important when you play your first game in Football Manager. It's always good to take on a team that you know, so that way you can then look at the new features, you can see what works and what doesn't work, but then you're not trying to take in all the information of the club itself and players as well at the same time. So that's why I always play as Swansea City during the beta, and I'm going to share this year with you. If you're new to my channel and you're not sure how maybe I normally play games and you want to watch a long series, go back and watch my Bath City series in Football Manager 2017. I'll have a link in the description. It's a very long series, and it still is not finished. I think we're on like part 65 or something, and we're still not finished. For those of you who do follow that series and do enjoy it, also just want to tell you guys, that series is going to be continuing alongside this series. That series has not been cancelled. We've still got a lot of things to do, a lot of unfinished business, dragging Bath City up through the leagues. Now, this part is going to be called Swansea City Part 0 because we're in pre-season. We're not going to be doing any matches today, so I do apologise if that's what you wanted to see. Today we're going to look at the club, we're going to talk about the good things, the bad things, and what things we might be wanting to change in the club itself. There might not be too many changes. I've had a quick look, we have to wait and see. If you want to see a commentary while you commentate over a match, rant and rave and go crazy because of my players' incompetence, that'll be part 1, where we'll play the first game of the Premier League season. But I can't wait. I just want to jump in right now. Now let's look at the club very quickly. Swansea City have had a good recent times. We got into the Premier League, and since then we've done well most seasons. Last season was our worst season in the Premier League. The whole debacle with Bob Bradley. That was not fun times. Terrible decision that almost ended in tragedy. Luckily, Clement came in, fixed the job. I trust Clement, but I've now come in for this new season. I'm going to take the reins, and hopefully we can guide Swansea City towards the right direction. Though there are many, many questions hovering over the club at this moment in time. Historically, we haven't won much. We did win, of course, the League Cup in 2013. A great moment for every fan of Swansea City. And then we got to see them in Europe. Those times were amazing. But since then, it's just kind of been just normal since then. Let's look at the finances. Financially, the club looks pretty strong. We got 37,000. We got 37 million in the bank, and we have no debts. So those are good signs. Those are good signs of the club. So financially, the club looks pretty good. Scouting-wise, if we have a quick look at the scouting transfer budget and whatnot, we have 10 million in the transfer budget. Not much. I'm kind of surprised, actually. I was expecting us to have quite a bit of a transfer budget, seeing as we did sell quite a few players, and we did bring in some players obviously in the summer, but normally it was kind of the same amount we bought for the same amount we sold, or maybe less. So I'm kind of surprised we don't have more money, but it's a bit frustrating, but it's what we'll have to deal with at this moment in time. Obviously the owners are not giving us that much money. If we have a quick look here, we can see the owners here. Jason Levine, Hugh Jenkins there being the chairman. Those two names by themselves are going to cause a big, big debate between Swansea fans. I found recently, the last few years, Swansea fans feel quite divided in not obviously our togetherness and supporting of the club, but when it comes to discussing what has been going wrong at the club the last few years and what's been going right, I find not every, but a lot of Swansea fans are very different on their opinions in this regard, on what did work and what didn't work, apart from Bob Bradley. I think everyone agrees Bob Bradley was a disaster, thanks to our new American owners. Obviously, they came in last year. Didn't start so well, the whole thing Bob Bradley, but hopefully they've learned from that. Hopefully they've learned those lessons from that experience and they can push on. I've been disappointed by their investments in the club. As you can see from our transfer budget, they've not really been putting much money into the club, especially seeing as we sold Sigurdsson for like 45 million. You'd think we'd have more in the transfer kitty, but I don't feel like he's been willing to invest enough into the club. That's my personal opinion. So far, I've not been impressed by them as new owners, but like I say, it's only been 1 year. We can't completely, disregard them because of 1 year. They have to learn and maybe build upon what they plan to do. Maybe they plan to, buy the Liberty Stadium and stuff. That there are lots of little things behind that we don't notice. When it comes to the staff, the coaching staff is not good. As you can see here, our coaching staff are terrible. This is probably the first place that I need to fix. We're going to need to bring in some new backroom staff, people that I trust, men that are my guys, and hopefully we can improve in this area very easily, but that is terrible. That is absolutely atrocious. We are the worst in the Premier League in many areas. Wow. If the players cannot get good advice from the backroom staff, how can we expect our players to do well when it comes to the pitch? So that's something to work at. Scouting, might want to improve on that as well. But when it comes to medical, not too bad. The medical stuff is not too bad, actually. But the coach, god damn, that is so bad. We have to improve in this area. Now, let's have a quick look at the team itself, the players, and what I'm planning to do with the team. Now, it feels like Clement has had some trouble when it comes to deciding what to do with the club and the players. He doesn't seem to know which players to play. He doesn't seem to know what formation's the best. Normally, when I play with Swansea in past seasons, I normally play with this formation, or I play with an attacking midfield instead of a defensive midfielder. But I wanted to play with Britton. Britton, I mean, what is there to say about him? If you don't know him, then you're not a Swansea fan. Every Swansea fan would know Britton. He's been with the club for a long time, 34 years old, but he can still perform in the Premier League. I don't know how he does it. There's a number of Swansea players, mainly the Swansea players that got promoted to the Premier League. That was such a good group of players. Some real great stars, Ashley Williams, Joe Allen, Leon Britton. Obviously, there was also Nathan Dyer was part of that. Scott Sinclair, Neil Taylor, Angle Wrangle, Monk, of course, as well. Lots of players in that squad, and they were really good. I have to admit, most of those players I really like in one form or another. Some obviously are better than others, but they all have very good personalities, even if they don't. Nathan Dyer may not be the best winger in the world, but he seems to have a good work ethic, and of course, he always just seems to be a nice guy. But Leon Britton, what a great player. I wanted to play with him, and, because he's going to get too old and he can't play anymore. This could be his last year, so I want to play with him. So, using defensive midfielder I think will be good. Also, the media's prediction, we're going to come 17th. So, it looks like we're going to have a long season of tough times and regret. So, just trying to survive relegation is our goal at this point in time. So, maybe going for defensive midfield would be quite good to shore up the defense. Up front, we have Bonnie. Bonnie has just come back from before when he used to be at the club. When he used to be at the club, he was a great player. Everyone loved him, and we then sold him on to Man City. Ever since he was at Man City, he seemed to be a bit of a disappointment. He wasn't given lots of chances, but when he was, like in the second season he was there, he didn't really seem to perform. And then he went to Stoke on loan, and that was not a good time for him either. And now we brought him in. Basically, we swapped Lorente for Wilfred Bonny. Personally, for me, I'm not sure that was a great idea. Lorente we knew was performing very well, and Wilfred Bonny has a few question marks over his head over how good he is. Obviously, if he can reconnect to the team, get back his form, his goal-scoring form when he was here before, he'll be amazing, but that's if he does get that. Winger-wise, it's not so good. We've got Dyer and Nas Singh. Rain Routledge on the bench. We definitely need another winger. We definitely need a class winger to come into the team. That's something I'm going to be looking at. We only have 10 million, so I'm going to have to maybe bring only 1 or 2 players in. But a winger is something I want to bring in. Midfield-wise, I said we got Leon Britton. I'm going to be using Mesa, who is, they're saying he's our key player. Now, when it comes, again, real life, there's a lot of question marks over him. This is what I keep saying. A lot of the players we brought in, especially this season, there's so many question marks over their heads over how good they are and whether they're good enough at all. There could be another Baston from last year who came to the team, never performed, and now he's gone out on loan. Mesa could be another one. But I like what I've seen. I think he does have some real good qualities from what I've heard. He sounds really good. In the game, he looks great. So I really want to use him there as well. Sanchez is here as well. Now, Sanchez, obviously that brought a lot of attention to the club. It was a really interesting signing, but it's only a loan. And I was actually kind of disappointed. You know, we sold Sigurdsson, and then we brought in Sanchez. And Sanchez is not as good as Sigurdsson. He has the potential to be better than him. If you can see from his stats there, he definitely has the great potential. But he's only 19 now, and it's only a loan. So we've only got him for this year. Then he goes back. If we bought him, I would have said, wow, that's an amazing sign. We used the money from Sigurdsson to bring in a new, young, potentially great player. That sounds perfect. But as a loan, I wasn't that impressed by the signing. I think he can still do good things for the club. It's whether he can meet the expectations. So we'll have to hope and see. But I'm going to be playing him because I want to see what he can do. In real life, we've seen those little bits of sparks of him being able to play really well. But he seems a bit too inconsistent. Actually, also, Nathan Dyer, I said he came up with Britain and stuff when Swansea got promoted to the Premier League. Not the greatest of players, but he's fast and he seems to be a hard worker. He actually has a Premier League winner's medal. Because remember, he did play at Leicester during their title-winning season. He was on there on loan. That's just crazy for me to think about. Olsen as left-back. Now, I normally like to have at least 2 players in every position on my squad. We do not have another left-back. Norton can play left-back or right-back. But we've only got Norton and Rangel for right-backs. We need another left-back, I think. So we're going to look for another left-back. And we're going to look for a winger. Those are the 2 things we're going to look for most likely over this preseason. We never know what will happen there. There could be injuries and stuff that might make me have to change my plans. But we'll see. That's my ideas for now. Fernandez, Mawson, both our centre-backs, kind of the obvious choice there. I think that's what everyone would choose. I will admit, last year, when they sold Williams, I think that was one of the biggest mistakes we've done. Because Williams obviously wasn't just a centre-back. He was a leader. And they never replaced him. I know they brought in Mawson instead, and he kind of took over that position. But it's not the same. Him and Fernandez just don't have that same quality that Williams had. You could always trust Williams. So we might in the future want to look for another centre-back. Rangel is going to be our right-back. Like Britain and stuff. He came up with the team. He's 34 years old now. I want to use him because I trust him. And I want to use him until he can no longer play. So we're going to start him off in the team. Fabianski in goal. Great player. I trust him in that goal more than any other player in the team by far. We can definitely trust him in that goal. I like him. He was a great buy for the club. Probably one of our most important players with Mesa. And it looks as though the game agrees with me. Other players, obviously, we've got Tammy Abraham. Young player from Chelsea. I was thinking about playing him, but then I'd need to play 2 strikers. Because I feel Wilfred Bonney is probably better. If he can get to his, previous form. And then playing 2 strikers, I couldn't really find a formation that really fit. Maybe like 4-4-2, but yeah. I wouldn't be able to use Britain then. So I'm kind of using Britain instead of Abraham right now. Plus, we only have 3 strikers. So it kind of makes sense to play with just 1 striker for now. But in real life, I really like Abraham. He's on my fantasy football team. I think he's a really good little star. Only 19 years old. It's going to be great to see in real life how the season goes for him. But hopefully at the club in the game we can use him as well. Kai Sung Young, another great player I really like. We've got Norton, Bartley, and a few other players at the back there. But overall, this is what we're going to be playing with, I think. This formation, this style. We're going to keep things kind of simple. Don't want to get things too complicated. And we'll try and look for a left back and a winger. And before we go, let's have a quick look at the dynamics. You can see here, this is one of the new features for the game. It can show you kind of the team leaders at the club, which are Leon Britton, Rangel, and Fabianski. Then it shows you kind of the more influential players as you go down. And with the social groups, as you can see, core social group, you can see here the core social group is massive. They all get along very well. We have a secondary social group. Players who've been at the club for roughly the same amount of time. Seems to be quite young players. Van der Hoon. How old are you? 24? Yeah, it seems to be quite young players and they've come maybe in recent times. And other. Poor Mesa and Olsen. I'm sure those two can fit into the core social group at some point in the future. Happiness. Look at that. Just see all these little details. There seems to be much more details you can find and look at this point in time. I'm looking forward to seeing what this season can bring. I hope you guys will join me for this journey. And tell me, what do you guys think? What is your opinion about the Swansea team at this point in time? What do you think about Swansea's transfer in? Like I say, were you impressed with Sanchez coming to the team? Unlike me, when I felt a bit like, he's too young. You know, how well is he going to do in the Premier League? It's hard to know. But we'll be back next time, where we'll be playing our first game of the season against West Brom. That should be a good game, actually. Win or lose. I mean, West Brom probably is the favourite for that, but it's a home game at Liberty Stadium. I hope you guys will join me for that. And I'll see you then. I've been NG Paradox. I'll see you next time.